Real shit. If you making about, let's say, $25,000 and your woman making about $35,000, man, and you jealous of her, you both losing.
Yeah, you really are. You need to support, uplift, and do what you can do. Because, like I said, she may be in a position where she has a little bit more education and more credentials to rise to the corporate level like she needs to do. And maybe you didn't have those same opportunities, and you pursued them. And so you are, in a lesser tax bracket than she is.
Yeah.
Shit, it should be celebrated. I mean, you shouldn't just, make it a point where you gotta say, shit, yeah, I ain't gotta do shit. My gal, she out there, she getting it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting straight. That doesn't make you a man. Again, you need to do whatever you can to match that. And me and you, we grew up in similar situations like that. With my parents, it was a situation where both of my parents was going out there and getting it.
Yeah.
So that kind of formed my example of how relationships work. I mean, I know it's men out there who want to, keep their wives at home, get them pregnant.
They want to be the man.
Cook. Yeah. In situations like that, but I'm just used to seeing women with their men, going out there getting it, and like you said earlier, building together. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I'm used to.
Yeah, and it's crazy because we could talk about that for an hour right out of the gate, just in terms of building something together and being a team. But too often, there's a lot of jealousy. Oh, your woman has a master's degree. She's an executive. I'll give you an example. Martin.
I was just thinking of that.
Man.
Him and Gina got into it. Yes. I was just thinking about that.
Yes. That's a perfect fucking example. Gina, fine, got the master's, man. She's an executive. She's doing her thing. Martin's just trying to find his way after he loses his radio gig. He's trying to figure out what he's going to do. He wants to...
not to cut you off, but even when he was working at the radio, I think it was episode 1 of the whole series they got into it where, it may be just in the first season, where, the rumor was Gina was making more than him.
Yeah.
And, he just felt out of place, and he wanted her to keep that on the low. She was they was at dinner. She was trying to pay for dinner. He felt awkward about that. Yeah, it's a good damn example. I was just thinking that, too.
Yeah, I said, I wish my woman would go and pick up that damn chick. You got it, baby. Shit. Man, what you want, man?
Exactly.
Let me go and get this steak.
Exactly. and that's what, I've been, like I said, and that's just, and we got to have I've been, getting hit up too. It's going to be a whole nother show when we talk about relationships and stuff like that. But kind of going to the topic at hand, you just have to know exactly what your role is and to support your better half.
Yeah.
And like I said, just different things. You just know.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of these younger males, they don't know.
No, it's totally different. And like I say, everyone's environment is different, and you never want to say that just because somebody was in a certain environment means that they're going to act a certain way. Because like I said before, there's a lot of strong brothers, man, a lot of strong men that are out there who are raised in single-parent homes. So it really isn't about that. A lot of it is just about the values that they are taught, because that's how you become a man. I say your character is what defines you. And I said there's a big difference between just being a male versus actually being a man. And that happens. And I think once we step back and reset and just start evaluating ourselves, not looking for validation from the world, not looking for validation from women or anything like that, but just stepping back and looking at ourselves. If we ever get to that point where we can do that collectively as men, we will do better. Yeah. And we're learning lessons now, just like, circling back with Me Too again. We know right from wrong, but now that we're kind of looking out here, we're seeing the consequences from people who were doing it the wrong way for so many years. I think it's a big wake-up call. I think it's a wake-up call for a lot of cats who weren't doing the right thing, but now they're saying, hey, I could lose my shit. I could lose my freedom. Yeah.
And it kind of go to that, too, and kind of take it a little step further, more into this Me Too movement. Rape.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a situation where, as we
don't
all know,
fucking rape.
No, that's if you can't
it's as simple as that.
If you can't, get it through conversation and shit, and you feel like you have to physically assert yourself to get a little puss, you're not a man, dude. You're not. And it's one of those situations too where we know psychologically rape is not about the physical means, but it's power.
Yeah.
You want to have power over that person Just like going back to Terry Crews, the big high-powered exec.
Yeah.
He wanted to influence his power just to say, shit, I'm big dog in Hollywood. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do.
Right.
And so, again, you know, I just hate to hear cases of rape and things like that, of a male feeling like they have to go to these lengths and, you know, physically assault a female or, shit, another male to get what they want. I just can't see how would you get turned on, you know, seeing somebody bloodied up or crying because they don't want it.
And not even, you know, just even the physical act of rape, really just unwanted touching, period, because that's a big part. Well, I put it all under the umbrella of sexual assault. I mean, if you're a man and you go around and you touch some woman's body, any part of her body, right, and it's unwanted, that can be construed as sexual assault. You touch her breast, you touch her behind, something like that, which was commonplace a generation or two ago. But you do that now, that's a no-go, man. You get locked up.
Yeah.
And 100% of sexual assault cases are absolutely preventable if you use your fucking common sense and you listen. If she says no or if she doesn't want it and you can sense, and look, dudes, I don't give a shit. I know some of y'all think, oh, well, she's just saying that she really want it. Nah, motherfucker. If she don't want it and you can look at her and tell that she don't want it, step the fuck back.
Right.
Don't have sex with women who are drunk. Stay the fuck away. I said, do you know how many people have gone to jail because of stuff like that?
Yep. I mean, had their ass sign an affidavit.
Yeah.
This is shit while they sober.
Look,
no, I'm just playing.
Didn't Chappelle have that one time where it was like, you got to sign the thing on there? He was like, here, sign this, and sign this. Ski, sign this. He had some skit about it, and it was funny, but it was 100% legit. It was a consent contract. I mean, you almost hate to say that it's kind of getting to that point now, but you almost have to wonder if it's going to get to that point. And I'd be curious to see if somebody created a consent app.
Shit, I will. Shit, I'm serious.
Man.
It get to a situation.
Don't steal our fucking idea.
This
is copyrighted.
off top. And if you got a problem with that, we can square up.
Yep.
But it's got to a point, too, where I think a lot of people don't really know, as silly as this may sound, but they really don't know to what length can you define rape.
Yeah.
And I can give it to you as simple as this. If you started off and, you know, you're both into it and, you know, he or she seemingly into it and shit like that, and everything may be going good, that moment you put the head in and they say stop. You know what I'm saying? Don't keep going. Don't do anything else, because at that point you violated someone's rights. I don't care if they say it with a smile on their face or they're laughing. If someone says no or stop, you need to stop.
And you know what? That is the case in 49 states. I don't know if you know about this. There is one state where once it gets started, even if the woman says no, he can continue and it's not considered sexual assault. Yes. He looking at me like, what the fuck?
You said it's 49 states?
49 states. There is one state that says that once it gets started, even if she says no or stop, he can continue, and it is not considered sexual assault in that state.
Arkansas.
North Carolina, everybody raise up.
No, you done
North Carolina, leading from the rear.
That's a bad choice of words.
Yeah. Damn. I just realized this shit.
I mean, sir, keep to the point where we're talking about.
Oh shit! I didn't mean to do that. Oh god!
But no, you just baffled me with that one. I didn't know that.
I didn't know it either. It was on Twitter about a couple of weeks ago, and I had to it was a real article, and it's for real. So the North Carolina State Supreme Court basically said that once consent is granted at the very beginning, then the act can continue, and the male or the perpetrator cannot be held accountable for it, even if the other party says that they want to stop. Which I think it's absolutely unreal. At some point, that'll get overturned by people with common sense. But just the fact that you can get away with that there, I mean, that just kind of shows you we have so long to go. Where we have the Supreme Court, a state Supreme Court, saying that sexual assault is still okay.
No, that's kind of going on those same lines. I know that for the state of New York, there have been some different laws mandated by October. Mm-hmm. There will be different, training classes at work. I think the law, and I'm just paraphrasing on top of my head, every workplace will be required to give some type of prevention of harassment training classes in different avenues and industries like that. It's going to be a law. And, they're trying to get all this done by October. So I think that's going to, set the precedent for other states to follow. So and now that we're having this conversation, it's kind of sad we have to think about the legalities of, what's rape and what's not. Again, you should know what's right and what's wrong. And what you're doing is right or what's wrong. So, I mean, just use your common fucking sense. But, like the old folks say, common sense ain't as common no more.
It sure isn't. And, and it's sad, too, that you have to have all of these classes because, you should be learning whoever is raising you should be telling you this is right, this is wrong. We shouldn't even have to go through so many classes to the point where we have to teach you something that's basic common sense. But here we are. And I don't fault companies for doing it because they have to. Otherwise, they're going to get sued into bankruptcy if they don't.
They definitely should be doing it.
Yeah.
I work for a couple of employers where I will perform investigations and things like that, where you would have employees who never been through a prevention of harassment class, so they think that it's perfectly okay to send dick pics to their coworkers on the line next to them, or perform certain acts at work and things like that, and think it's okay. So things like that, we just have to get back to kind of getting this generation to know, how you should act and how you should perform as a man. I applaud a lot of churches and things like that and different civic groups and organizations who have these extracurricular programs, geared towards young men. I think Steve Harvey, he had some going on in Chicago. Yep. A couple other big name celebrities who are doing that. So these things need to continue to happen. And I think if we have that buy-in from, respectable men, that maybe that will, do something to kind of turn in this fuck show of what we got going on around.
Now, let me ask you this. As much as we talk about prevention, as much as we talk about common sense, there is still a culture when it comes to men where certain things are allowed. Now, I'm going to put a name out there, and then I'm going to put another name out there. So don't look crazy when I do it. You heard what's been going on with Charlemagne, right?
Bits and pieces. He had was it an old case to come back and hunt him or something like that?
Yeah, well, basically, he was accused of sexual assault, and, without directly admitting it, he more or less admitted it. And so there's been a huge backlash against him on social media, but at the same time, there doesn't seem to be much of an effort to really do anything about it, hold him accountable. Much in the same way that, we just kind of shrug our shoulders at R. Kelly. Charlemagne,
that's a whole other fucking show.
That's a whole other show. But, at the same time, when we talk about men and we talk about the culture of men and particularly in the black community, there are certain things, there are certain behaviors that are, I won't even say acceptable, but, we'll turn the other way. We'll turn the other cheek to it. And then in some instances, we'll raise all types of hell about it. So it really depends. And as bad as this is, to say, it really depends on the person on whether or not we're going to hold them to a higher standard or not, which, that kind of goes against the whole grain of manhood right there, right?
It definitely does. You have to, and you said he kind of, now how did you say he came out? He kind of admitted it, but he didn't?
He kind of admitted it, but he didn't. He kind of gave some clues and kind of talked about it. But the manner in which he spoke about it, if you were just a regular person on the street and you heard this and you didn't have any idea who he was, you would probably think he did it. just from the stuff that he said.
Just play on words. I'm going to have to go back and look at that a little bit more.
But at the same time, you know, that comes up, but there's very little backlash. And we talk about power, and we talk about the power, particularly in the media, and it's something we had talked